Good morning. Good morning. We all high-fived, and now, wow, I don't have the same pull that Matt Eakes does. So when we were talking about, Matt and I were sitting down, we were talking about Swift Workshop, we were talking about some cool things, looking at all the content that was in there. And something that I've been poking around with for a while has been, in particular, File Vault and then the tokens related to them. I've probably talked to maybe 20% of this audience specifically about these in relation to MDM, in relation to using it in your workflow, in relation into how to doing stuff. So we've started to do quite a few things at the login window, and part of that has been the creation of File Vault accounts. And that has helped really bring a lot of things home to me, particularly with File Vault on 10.14. So I'm hopefully here to dispel some of the rumors. I expect what I say to be controversial, as controversial as File Vault can be. And that certainly what I think I've encountered kind of does not jive with a lot of the stuff that's out there. So hence the secure and not secure. Some tokens are secure, some tokens aren't secure. And I hope that we break a few things as we go along through these. And then there's kind of been a fun, I don't know if it's really legitimate, it's bordering on is it a security issue or not, but we're here, so we'll talk about it. I'm Joel, Chief Instigator. This is our product family. We have a family now, a family of caribou. We're going to need a herd of caribou, if you will. Who's using our login stuff? Oh, very cool, very cool. So that's been some of the most fun code that we've done recently. And the problem is we have so many different things that we'd like to do there, including better managing File Vault. So let's get into that. In the beginning there was File Vault, right? It started off, if you want the real history, go look at one of Rich's talks where he does great jobs with these kinds of things. But right, we started off as File Vault 1, where it was encrypted home directories. There were disk images, made a lot of sense, kind of worked. We moved to File Vault 2, where we, that was probably in the 10.6, 10.7 range? 10.7. So we moved to File Vault 2, which finally brought in full disk encryption, but it was on HFS+. All right? And we got used to the new tools, we got used to doing some new things, and then High Sierra came around. And things changed. High Sierra, in my opinion, should really be more File Vault 2.5, if not File Vault 3. When you move to an APFS file format, a lot of things changed. All right? In a major way, it became much more secure, and there were some workarounds, or there were some easy ways that you could do things with File Vault on HFS Plus that you can no longer do on APFS. And that's a good thing. However, it does make for managing of it a lot more complicated. So for what we're talking about today, for any of the following information, this is all focused on 10.13 or greater, and I expect Mojave to be a moving target, but we've got some early kind of feedback on what's going on there. So APFS and 10.13 or greater are what we're speaking about here. So you're probably all familiar with this. This is the little guy that people think is magical. I should have done one of the keynote effects where it came down with glitter or something like that. This is not magical. This is just a piece of text in your record. That's all it is. It doesn't seem to really have any connection to anything else in the system. But without having any real documentation about what this is, we've been forced as an admin community to try and poke and see where something moves. And so we've kind of created this mythos around this, and so hopefully I'm here to tell you a couple of things about that. It's not so much whether a user has a semicolon secure token semicolon in their authentication authority or not. That's just a little bit of a hint that it seems like some tools on the system use, some ignore, some require even though it's not useful. All right? So what you really want to get down to is the actual key slots that are on the volume. And this is done with a disk util command, which I'll show you here in a little bit. All right? So those are the actual pieces. Everyone seems to have File Vault rules, so I thought I'd come up with File Vault rules. They were kind of exciting. The first person to enable File Vault can. There's a lot of this, I've got to be the first user on the box and then user 501. When we do this in the login window, none of that seems to matter. All right? If you're on an APFS volume that's never been enabled for FileVault, as long as you can do a root action to use FDE enable, it doesn't matter what username or password you put into that, you're going to get a secure token. Does that make sense? Does anyone not believe me? Alistair, do you have a comment about not believing me?
My 13.0 machine.
Yeah.
Out of the box, Apple's image, upgraded 13.0, cannot have, none of the users have secure tokens, and none of them can turn on FileVault.
I'd like to look at that. All right, there's definitely some very serious ways. What? Oh, I need to repeat the question? Alistair asked a very cogent question about airport codes. And in particular, what the airport code for Gander Island? What is it? It's Gander something. Gander. It's just Gander? Oh, I think Gander Mountain is a store, right?
Yes.
Yes, all right. So Alistair is calling me out that he's got a 10.13.0.
A machine from 10.13.0?
Yeah. Okay. And I'll use the caveat that, yeah, Apple borked some things early on. But I'd love to take a look at that, because everything that we've done from a brand new 10.13.3, 10.13.4, 10.13.5 image, I can always enable FileVault. Whatever user, the first person to enable FileVault wins. They will get that secure token put in their user record, but that's rather irrelevant. It's the key slot on the disk that matters. And that's disk util APFS list crypto users over here in the bold. That will actually tell you who's actually on the system that has the ability to unlock FileVault. Every other action that you need to do with FileVault has to require the plain text passwords of one of those users. All right? Alistair is already. Uh-oh, do you have another comment?
No, this is your presentation.
No, like I said, I'm happy to be controversial here.
Or an unlock key.
Well, the PRK with the Apple admin tools will not allow you to do anything. Fact. Unless I show you what we're going to do later. Because I think we've kind of found a way to bootstrap that. But for most general purposes, once you have FileVault enabled, you're going to need a user that has admin access. Cryptographically, this is not required, but the Apple admin tools require it, which is where the PRK then becomes useless. And then you need to have the plain text password of a user on that machine. Using those two things, the rest of the FileVault tools, assuming no bugs and other stuff, will work. All right, and you need a working FileVault password to create new users. So let me show you a few things, because I've actually gotten a system in a broken state. Because why not, right? So here, and if I go full screen, and I'm going to have to zoom in on a lot of these things. So I've got a 10.13.3 system here. We'll make this much bigger so you can see what's going on. You can't see it on the screen. I have to mirror. Well, that's rude. Looking for Apple TV. AirPlay is off. Default, where's mirroring? Mirroring's over here. Arrangement, mirror displays. Yay! All right, now, that's big. All right, so this is a 10.13 system. We're in VMware, so don't worry about me breaking up my machine. We're all good, but thank you for thinking of me. So here we've got FileVault. FileVault is enabled, and you're going to see some of the issues that can happen here. So I specifically got ourselves into a broken state in that I have an admin account myself. I am actually not enabled for FileVault. I have created FileVault as a non-admin user just by going in, and here is the actual commands that I was using. You can see me using the help, so I had to do that. And I went in, and as a admin, did FTE setup enabled, typed in the non-admin username, non-admin password, and it turned on FileVault. All right? Now you're in a broken state, because now you're violating the last rule in that you have a user that's FileVault enabled, only one, and I moved out of the box. I got to look. I moved out of the box. So I'll move back into the box. All right, however, this user is going to be useless for doing anything on File Vault. If I go into System Preferences, and I'm like, well, geez, this is a bad thing. I've got this warning here, some users not enabled. I want to fix that. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to type in my admin password. And then I'm going to enable users, and then I'm going to enable users, and then I'm going to enable users. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Well, maybe my non-admin account. This won't make any sense, but this is my File Vault user. No, because I have to be an admin to get through this window. So now you're in a very broken position. You can also get here if you somehow remove the admin account from the machine, otherwise do something that would damage it. And what's going on here, the Apple GUI tools are requiring admin ability. File Vault requires an account that has a key slot on the File Vault disk. And we're now in a completely broken state because we do not have one account that does both. Does that make sense? And I know this because I can come in here, and here's the disk util APFS list crypto users, and then disk 1 slice 1. These are the actual key slots on my File Vault volume. One of these is a local Open Directory user. That's the non-admin account that I have. Another one is the PRK personal recovery key. All right. In 10.12 on HFS Plus, this PRK was everything. You would be able to use that PRK to create new users. You could feed it into FDE setup. The problem is now that PRK is no longer functional in that fashion. And so this is where we started doing some fun on trying to do this. But before we get there, I'm going to go to Directory Utility, which I'm amazed is still on the system. I don't, yeah, exactly, right? I've been using it because I found it a little bit quicker than going into Discal and getting stuff. So here, this is my admin account. I've got a shadow hash, and then I've got the curb hash. If I go to my non-admin that's here, I've got this magical, because I'm not authenticated, and it won't show me, let me authenticate here. I think that's my account, yeah. And now if I relook at this, it shows me the authentication authorities, and we've got the magical secure token. All right? So what is this secure token? No one knows. They really don't. They really don't. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to remove my secure token. Oh. So I'm going to remove the secure token, and then I'm going to go and I'm going to reboot this volume. I got another user signed in, so we'll do this. While we're rebooting, who wants a t-shirt? Whoa! This is our 3/4 length fall wear. It is a little bit of an older style, but it is a small. All right. The Europeans will grab a small. All right. This is our, there we go. Up. That actually came back faster than it normally does. So is this going to work?
Yeah. You're at the File Vault unlock.
I'm at the File Vault unlock. Is this going to work?
Yes.
But I don't have a secure token.
You do have a secure token. Non-admin has one. No, you deleted it.
I deleted it. Well, sometimes it's a little hard to tell because about 3 times out of 8, VMware doesn't like this. If you've noticed that, let me see. I may have to get out. We may just have to reboot this. That is the one thing I've noticed. I don't think it has anything to do with the secure token or not secure token or anything else. It's just I've seen VMs have issues once you file vaulted them. There we go. That should be good. There we go. We've got the thing. So absolutely nothing different. My account is fully functional as it was before. There's nothing magical about that secure token text in the authentication authority. All right? It's in there as a pointer. I strongly believe the reason why there's no documentation on it is nobody really thought it was anything. But since there's no documentation, we're all like, well, hey, there's this secure token thing, and somewhere in FTE setup it makes some reference to it that you need a secure token, but I can't, looking at what it's doing and trying to reverse engineer the process, I don't see it being functional in any way other than a small pointer to let people know, to let some of the other directory service utilities know that this user may actually have a key slot. All right? So this is going to boot up and we're going to get in. And then we're going to do something that's going to be a little bit more funkier. Let me get back to the slides. All right, so we kind of broke it, but we really didn't. The one fun thing that we had experience with, and you may have users in this situation, where if you do get broken like this, where you have a non-admin account that's enabled for File Vault, maybe you even have a personal recovery key, because in a lot of cases, MDM is escrowing your personal recovery key, so you can have access to that. But unlike 1012, you don't have a way of taking that personal recovery key and then doing anything with it. So to get around that, we've been having some fun. You can actually find the GUID of the recovery key user. So if you go to disk-util, APFS, list crypto users, disk1, slice1, you're going to see that listing of usernames that are in there in those slots. Those slots will have a GUID. The actual local users, that GUID will match a GUID that's in directory services. And it's GUID, not GUID or GUID. It's GUID.
It's disk-util, but whatever.
And it's CUDL, not CTL. Uh-huh. No, somebody says that.
Okay,
Jiffy. And a boot? No, that's wrong. I can't get into those jokes because we'll be here a while. All right, so what we can do with this, this actually a little bit came out of Hack Night. We'll talk about that later. But as we were doing the Hack Night work about putting in hashes into a user, I'm like, well, we need to create the user, and I need to do a session on File Vault tomorrow. So let's just write a tool that will create users with GUIDs that we determine. All right? So I can actually create a brand new user with a GUID that matches the GUID of the recovery key, and I can make him an admin, and then all the pieces line up. Because the Mac will look and say, okay, there's an admin user, and they've got an account that's got a GUID. That GUID matches a key slot. So it's a personal recovery key. We don't care. It's a key slot. And now we'll be able to do all the operations that we need to do on the machine. So we can bootstrap on 1013 from a PRK into something more useful where the PRK is effectively a full-blown user. This is not for production. All right? I just want to let you know that. I'm not recommending you do this. It's kind of a fun exercise to get an understanding of how all the pieces fit together. So if I hide this and I go back. All right, so here I came in and I'm a non-admin. And it really is annoying because I'm a non-admin and it keeps trying to load the VMware kernel extension for my VMware tools. But there we go, allow. But then I'm a non-admin, so then other things go weird. So anyway, again, same File Vault problem here. I'm actually going to log out as this user and log in as somebody that can do something. So log out as non-admin.
Can I actually ask?
Mm-hmm.
One thing in here is, so you killed the secure token, but that doesn't mean you can't authorize. Oh, wait, yeah, you can't authorize people in the GUI for File Vault anyway.
Because I'm a non-admin.
And even command line doesn't care.
Correct.
You're non-admin.
Correct. So I'll log in as my admin account. And then we're going to make a user. All right. This is up here. So this is our personal recovery user. And if I grab directory utility again, I can show you this. Just to show you how all these match up. So if I go into my non-admin account and I look at the GUID for that user, 70C3887, you can see that this matches this hash or this slot. And that's the glue that kind of holds all these things together. So we've got another account down here with this, but that doesn't correspond to a user anywhere because it's just a key slot. All right? So last night we worked on a little utility, and that little utility was called create user, and UFV admin dash first name is FV dash last name is admin dash pass is the recovery key, which I luckily saved and put here. Don't write that down. dash GUID is this for the personal recovery user. Dash UID is, let's go 510, and dash group ID, let's go, is admin always in 20? Well, we'll put them in 80, but I think their group ID is 20. Yeah, 20 is staff. And I got to do this as root, so I got a sudo there. Users, username, first name, last name, password, GUID, UID, GID, and then at the end, we'll make him an admin. All right, my password, MacDevOpsYVR. All right, so I've got a user created, and if I do an ID on FVAdmin, there's my user. All right, I've set the password to this, so here's my password. It's a very secure password, and if I log in as this user, so if I do login and then FVAdmin and then that, no home directory, but I've signed in. All right, so everybody pass the hoop over the floating assistant. We've got an account we've created, and even this, although system preferences normally fails on showing this, here I go, I've got an FVAdmin account in there. All right, so cool stuff. So let's go to security and privacy, and I'm going to sign in here as FVAdmin with this long hairy password. Oh, there you go. So all we've done is we've just glued all these pieces back together. So we've got a key slot with a GUID with it. We then created an admin account with that same password. Presumably we're in an MDM enrolled environment or something like that, so that we can take that PRK after it gets stashed, that'll go get shipped back up to MDM, grab that PRK, create a local admin account with the PRK as the password, make them an admin. Now I've got full control over File Vault again. And if I could write this down, I could reboot the machine and I could sign in as that. All right. Now, the thing that I'm actually interested, because we were chatting about this yesterday, I believe this means I will not be seen at the EFI screen. Only one way to find out. So I'm not going to enable any users here. We're going to not worry about those.
Why was non-admin?
Because I don't have that silly little secure token in the directory access. So this is a great thing, right? So let me go back to directory utility and write it back in. So if I go here, I got to authenticate again, this one, because I can remember that one. So authentication authority here is just shadow hash and Kerberos. For the FVAdmin, it gets a secure token added because it all works and it just pops it in there. And my guess is, this is not planned for the demo, but we're going to do this, is that I can add I don't think that's what I wanted. This plus button here, that's what I'm looking for. Add secure token and save it. So now FVAdmin has these, non-admin has these. And if I go into here and enable users, see? It has nothing to do with the cryptographic ability to lock or unlock the drive. It is purely there as a little bit of window dressing, as a hint to allow the tools that Apple's using to know if they've actually been configured or not. Does that make sense? All right. And if I go over here and I do a disk util, APFS, list crypto users, disk 1, slice 1, I've still got 2 accounts, and one still listed as a personal recovery user. So I have not done this yet, but I'm going to reboot this box. And my guess is, my supposition, we will only see one icon at the EFI screen, which will be that non-admin user. Or, well, there will be shirts in the middle. Terminate, terminate, quit. All right, we have a 2XL in the blue, all the way in the back. Wow. That was impressive, wasn't it? Yeah. We have 3/4 length extra small. All right, all right. Whoop. Beautiful. And here we go. Ta-da. We only have one account. We could still use that recovery key by going into here and then punching it in this way. So that recovery key is still fully functional as a recovery key. However, the admin itself also has that password. So once you've signed into the machine as the user here, you would then be able to get a GUI session as that admin by punching in that really long, hairy personal recovery key. Where this breaks is if you ever rotate the PRK. You will then have to do this whole bootstrapping process again. All right? The key slot itself won't change, but you'll have to do it. And what I wouldn't suggest doing is ever attempting to change the FileVault admin user's password, because that should flow back down to the key slot, and then you're going to get hosed.
Do it live.
Do it live? All right. So I type, that's not here. You saw the first bit of my password. Uh-oh. So I'm going to sign in as this. And the cool thing here, Nomad Login, this is the 1.2 version, now does pass-through from FileVault. So it's why you're not actually seeing the login window after I've signed in at EFI. I have an extra large somewhere in the front. There we go. People should fight over them more. I know. Matt, next year. I got magnets up here too. I should have been handing these out, but we got cool magnets and stickers, so you've got that. So questions on what we've gone over and the process, how all the pieces fit together. Is this cool?
Yep.
Is it slightly demystifying FileVault? Slightly? I mean, I don't want to go too far. Yeah, that's my problem, is the deeper you get into this.
It's as documented as APFS.
Is what?
It's as documented as APFS.
Exactly. Exactly. Maybe even more so.
This seems Mac Destroyer-ish to be able to do this.
Well, and that's where I don't know that I would call this a security hole, because you have a recovery key that will unlock that drive. Right. And unlocking the drive would get you all the bits on the drive. So you haven't compromised FileVault security in any way. What we've allowed you to do is to bootstrap that PRK into a much more functional entity, which is an admin account. This was functional on 10.12 with a HFS Plus, correct? Because you could go in with a PRK, and then you could use FDE enable, pass it the PRK, and be able to do things. So we've effectively just gotten this back. So now the question is going to be, if I go in and I change this password for this user, what am I going to do? I'm going to log out Nolo admin or non-admin. We're going to change the password for the FileVault admin, and we're going to see if it flows back down to the PRK. The question is, how would we know?
Use FDE setup,
And then validate it. See, Wes, that's why you're here. All right, you gotcha. Thank you. So we're going to sign in as this user. And I'm going to get the PRK back. Now that that secure token item is in there, I'm fairly convinced that we're going to push this down. So here's the password of, so I'll do login, FV admin, this password. All right, beautiful, I'm here. Who am I? I'm FV admin, pass WD. Old password is here. New password is Wes Rocks. Wes Rocks. All right, so now we cycle the password of this user. So the question is going to be, what will FDE setup give us?
Well, I'm assuming it doesn't work, but.
So what we're going to do here, we're going to do FDE setup. Is it validate?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I got to make this smaller.
It's right at the bottom.
Validate recovery key. All right. So FDE setup, validate recovery key. All right, camel case. Recovery key. And then you must provide no key, like that.
Just validate recovery.
Validate recovery. Like that.
Yeah.
sudo, I know, thank you. Control A, sudo, I can do the sudo bang bang too. Wes rocks, enter the current recovery key. False. Yeah, rotated the recovery key.
Okay, we'll pass Wes rocks to validate recovery key.
Wes rocks. Ooh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think you have recovery key anymore.
Ooh. Disk util, APFS, list, crypto users, disk 1, slice 1. Still got a slot in there. What VM am I on? Or what MDM am I on? I can see if it got picked up. This is AirWatch. CDVAR-DB, LS, ALRT. I got to make this smaller. I can't. What's shift minus, command minus, there we go. If you can't be educational, at least be entertaining. CDVAR-DB, ALRT. It does not look like we have a new, right, because when you update the file vault, you get a new file vault PRK data file, and that's what actually gets shipped up to the MDM server to escrow your new PRK. So by changing the admin password, I think we've completely, or come much closer to hosing this than we were before. So we may play around with this a little bit more. But that's why this is certainly inherently a little bit more fragile. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that you do this on a full-time basis. But as far as taking a machine where you have the PRK but you don't have an admin and trying to get back into a usable state, this is a very functional way of doing that for kind of a one-off. At that point in time, I would make sure that you get everything that you need off of that system, nuke and pave, whatever else, and get back into a much better environment. Ideally, and the whole goal of this was to just give you kind of a exploration of how File Vault works and then a fun little hack for that. Questions on anything that we've done? No questions. Why is it still broken? I think as the admin tools, we've cycled the user that had a GUID and a secure token, which I believe overwrote that slot, but then it didn't actually update File Vault with maybe those things have been changed. So I bet that slot is completely hosed. Because when we changed the account that had a secure token in it, Open Directory knew to try and update the key slot on File Vault, but then File Vault thinks that's still the recovery key, and that's why we're in this weird situation. Questions?
Ron. Hey, so we were looking at earlier, like in the directory utility, pulling out and putting in the secure token value. Can we do that programmatically through this? Because then you should just be able to, as that user, say a Jamf user, like the local admin that it creates, have it self-enable File Vault without having to do a big song and dance to get a secure token.
So again, just putting that text means bubkiss for the key slots. Just like removing it did bubkiss. Okay. So if you wanted to make that user a File Vault user, you could create a user this way with this tool. You would then want to go and do an FDE enable and set up, add user, whatever it is, and you could add the user that way.
But you still need the user's password.
Still need the user's password. Okay. That's rule number, right? If we go back to the rules, that's not Keynote. That's Keynote. No. File Vault rules. No. You need a working File Vault password to create new users. All right? And so just having a hashed value in there won't work. You're still going to have a plain text password to enable that user, and then also have a plain text password for File Vault to enable that user. And that's just cryptography, right? To get to the key slot on the drive, I have to know a password to unlock that key slot, to get the bulk cipher out, to then make a new key slot for that new user, wrapping that bulk cipher with their password. And there's no way around that. There's no way of hashing it or anything else like that, which is what gets very, very complicated. We are looking at ways, if you're crypt users, You've got the ability to escrow the key locally. We're looking at doing that now that I know that I can bootstrap a user and have them functional, taking that recovery key escrowed locally and using that to update users on the fly. So you don't have to see that annoying, hey, you're signing in as a network account. Do you want to enable File Vault, but you don't know what a password will work. So sucks to be you. And then we could do that on the fly at the login window. Other questions?
Questions? So I've run into the fun setup where the only user with access to File Vault is MB setup user.
Ouch.
Which was a nice nuke and pave moment for that machine, but
yeah,
it's that at that point you're essentially host.
Well, did the recovery key ever make it back to MDM?
No.
Yeah,
so once the machine was restarted, you couldn't get in.
If you can get, the nice way that what I showed you here presupposes that you have MDM working and you're going back to somewhere and that recovery key you can get. Once you have that recovery key, you can do the rest of the way. But yeah, if you never got a recovery key, you don't have, and my guess is what happened there is that you probably had a File Vault MDM profile enabled. And somewhere at the DEP enrollment stage, maybe the machine sat for a bit, something happened, Setup Buddy lost its mind, and that MB setup user then somehow got turned into File Vault. File Vault got turned on for them, but if the PRK never got escrowed, yeah, nuke and pave. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel.
Did we take up enough time?
You took up enough time, yeah.
Took up enough time. All right. Thank you.